Deviled eggs. Born in American potlucks in the 1940s when eggs were cheap and everyone needed dishes that traveled well. The genius was in the simplicity. Hard-boiled eggs that could be made the night before, requiring no reheating and looking fancy despite minimal effort. The classic preparation starts with hard-boiled eggs cooked until the yolks are fully set but not gray-ringed, then cooled in ice water so the shells peel cleanly. The eggs get halved lengthwise, the yolks scooped out and mashed with mayonnaise, yellow mustard, and a pinch of salt. Some recipes add sweet pickle relish for sweetness and crunch. Others include a dash of vinegar or hot sauce for tang. The yolk mixture gets piped or spooned back into the egg white halves, creating that distinctive mounded filling. Traditionalists insist they must be dusted with paprika, not for flavor, but for that pop of red color against the yellow and white. They're arranged on special deviled egg plates with indentations that keep them from sliding around, though most office parties see them crammed onto regular plates with plastic wrap. The eggs had to be cold when served, kept in the refrigerator until the last minute. Each bite delivered creamy, rich yolk, filling with that tangy mayo mustard flavor, followed by the firmer egg white that provided structure. The paprika added almost nothing taste-wise, but made them look intentional and fancy. Some people brought creative versions, bacon crumbles on top, sriracha in the filling, or Old Bay seasoning instead of paprika. But the classic mayo mustard version remained the standard. They disappeared fast at parties because they were bite-sized, required no utensils, and hit that rich, savory note people craved. Artichoke Dip. These creamy dips emerged in office party culture in the 1980s when someone discovered you could combine canned artichoke hearts with mayonnaise, Parmesan cheese, and call it elegant. The locals argue about whether it started on the coasts or in the Midwest, but by the 1990s, every office party had at least one artichoke dip. The classic version uses canned or jarred artichoke hearts, drained and chopped fine, mixed with mayonnaise, sour cream, grated Parmesan cheese, and minced garlic. Some recipes add cream cheese for extra richness. The mixture spreads into a baking dish and goes into the oven until it's hot throughout and slightly golden on top. The artichokes break down during baking, becoming soft and almost disappearing into the creamy base. The mayo and sour cream create richness without being too heavy. The Parmesan adds salty, nutty flavor and helps the top brown. It's served hot in the same dish it baked in, surrounded by crackers, bread rounds, or vegetables for dipping. Some people added spinach, creating spinach artichoke dip, but the pure artichoke version came first. The dip's texture was smooth and creamy with occasional artichoke chunks, providing texture. The flavor was rich, cheesy, and garlicky, with that distinctive artichoke taste that was mild and slightly tangy. It had to be served warm. Cold artichoke dip was gloppy and unappetizing. People would hover around the dish with crackers, scooping up the hot dip and burning their mouths because they couldn't wait. The crackers got soggy if left too close to the dip, so experienced partygoers grabbed fresh ones from the side. This was the dish that made people feel sophisticated. Artichokes seemed fancy, even when they came from a can and got mixed with grocery store mayo. Meatballs. The name literally means little balls of meat, and this party staple comes from the 1960s when slow cookers revolutionized potluck culture. Office party meatballs aren't Italian, they're Swedish-inspired, but Americanized beyond recognition. The classic version uses frozen pre-made meatballs, the kind that come in massive bags from warehouse stores. Nobody made meatballs from scratch for office parties. Frozen ones were uniform in size, already cooked, and just needed sauce and heating. The sauce was the star, either grape jelly mixed with chili sauce, yes, grape jelly, or BBQ sauce mixed with grape jelly, or a Swedish-style sauce made from beef broth, cream, and lingonberry jam. The sweet-savory combination seemed wrong until you tasted it. The meatballs went into a slow cooker with the sauce and heated on low for hours, the sauce thickening and coating each meatball in sticky sweet glaze. They had to simmer long enough for the flavors to penetrate, but not so long that the meatballs dried out. The texture was uniformly soft with that distinctive frozen meatball texture, tender but with a slight bounce. The sauce was thick and clingy, sweet with underlying savory notes from the chili sauce or BBQ base. They were served straight from the slow cooker, kept on warm throughout the party, with toothpicks stuck in them for easy grabbing. Each meatball was a perfect two-bite food, sweet and savory simultaneously, warm and comforting. The sauce got all over your fingers despite the toothpicks. Some people would double up, eating 2 meatballs at once. The slow cooker kept them at perfect temperature for hours, never getting cold or drying out. This was foolproof party food, hard to mess up, universally liked, and impressive despite requiring zero cooking skill. Spinach Dip. This green dip became office party law in the 1970s when Knorr vegetable soup mix packets made everything possible. Spinach Dip was all about mixing frozen chopped spinach with sour cream, mayo, and that Knorr vegetable soup mix that came in the distinctive envelope. Traditional versions started with frozen spinach that had to be thawed and squeezed dry. The squeezing was crucial because watery spinach made watery dip. The spinach went into a bowl with sour cream, mayonnaise in equal parts, the entire Knorr packet, and sometimes chopped water chestnuts for crunch. Everything mixed together and refrigerated overnight, letting the dried vegetables in the soup mix rehydrate and distribute flavor. The dip was thick and creamy, pale green from the spinach with darker green flecks throughout. The flavor was savory and herby from the soup mix, tangy from the sour cream, rich from the mayo, with the spinach adding earthy notes. It was always served cold in a hollowed-out round bread loaf, the iconic presentation that defined 1980s entertaining. The bread got torn into chunks for dipping, and as the dip got eaten, people would tear pieces off the bread bowl itself. Some people added chopped green onions or minced garlic. Others mixed in artichoke hearts, creating the spinach artichoke hybrid. But the pure spinach version with Knorr mix was the original. The water chestnuts provided unexpected crunch against the creamy dip. The bread bowl got soggy from the dip soaking in, becoming almost as good as the dip itself. By the end of the party, people were fighting over the soggy bread bowl pieces. This was the definition of crowd pleaser. Everyone knew what to expect, nobody was disappointed, and the presentation looked like you'd tried, even though it took 15 minutes to make. Mexican Layered Dip. Mexican layered dip appeared in office parties in the 1980s when Tex-Mex became mainstream American food. The concept was brilliantly simple. Layer Mexican-inspired ingredients in a clear dish so everyone could see the stripes, creating visual appeal and customization options. The bottom layer was refried beans straight from the can, spread smooth and thick. The second layer was guacamole, or mashed avocado, mixed with lime juice and salt. The third layer was sour cream, sometimes mixed with taco seasoning. The fourth layer was salsa, usually jarred chunky salsa, drained slightly so it wouldn't make everything soggy. The fifth layer was shredded cheddar and Monterey Jack cheese, loads of it, covering everything. The top layer was garnishes, chopped tomatoes, sliced black olives, diced green onions, maybe cilantro if you were feeling ambitious. Some versions added a layer of seasoned ground beef between the beans and guacamole. Others included a layer of cream cheese mixed with taco seasoning. The dip assembled in a 9 by 13 glass baking dish specifically so the layers showed through the sides. It was served cold with tortilla chips arranged around it like a fence. People would dig down through all the layers, trying to get every component in one scoop. The beans provided substance and earthy flavor. The guacamole added richness and freshness. The sour cream cooled everything down. The salsa gave moisture and tang. The cheese was sharp and salty. The toppings added texture and visual interest. Each chip load was different depending on where you dug in and how deep you went. The layers would start neat, but quickly became a swirled mess as people dug in from different angles. By the end of the party, it looked like a crime scene, but that meant it was good. This was the party dip that felt like a full meal, substantial enough to fill you up, colorful enough to photograph before the days of Instagram. Little Smokies. Little Smokies showed up at office parties in the 1950s when cocktail wieners became a thing and people needed finger foods for standing room only gatherings. The name comes from the Hillshire Farm brand that dominated the market. Little Smokies were tiny smoked sausages, pre-cooked and shelf-stable until you needed them. They weren't fancy. They were essentially hot dogs, shrunk down to bite size, but the smokiness and convenience made them party staples. The classic preparation method was wrapping each little Smoky in a piece of bacon, securing it with a toothpick, arranging them on a baking sheet, and baking until the bacon crisped. Some people brushed them with brown sugar before baking, creating a sweet, smoky glaze. The bacon-wrapped version was called pigs in a blanket in some regions, though others reserved that name for sausages wrapped in crescent roll dough. The other popular method was the sauce bath, little Smokies in a slow cooker with grape jelly and chili sauce or BBQ sauce, the same sweet-savory combination used for meatballs. The sausages would simmer in the sauce for hours, absorbing sweetness while contributing their smoky flavor. They had to be served hot with toothpicks for spearing. Each little Smoky was salty, smoky, and slightly sweet from the glaze or sauce. The bacon-wrapped ones had that crispy bacon texture contrasting with the soft sausage interior. The sauce-bathed ones were sticky and sweet with sauce coating. They were small enough to pop in your mouth whole, making them dangerous. People would eat tin without realizing it. The toothpicks were essential because touching the greasy sausages with your fingers was unacceptable at office parties. They were universally liked, kid-friendly, and substantial enough to be satisfying. This was protein you could eat while holding a drink and making small talk, the holy grail of office party food. Roll-ups. Roll-ups emerged in office party culture in the 1990s when people wanted something that looked fancy but required zero cooking. The concept was simple: spread filling on a flour tortilla, roll it tight, slice it into pinwheels, and arrange them on a platter. The classic version uses large flour tortillas as the base. They had to be soft and pliable, not the small taco-sized ones. The most common filling was cream cheese mixed with ranch dressing powder, spread thick across the tortilla. Then came the additions: diced green chilies, chopped green onions, shredded cheddar cheese, sometimes crumbled bacon. The vegetables added color and crunch. The bacon added smoke and salt. Everything got spread evenly, leaving an inch bare at one edge so the filling wouldn't squirt out when rolling. The tortilla rolled tightly, creating a spiral of filling and tortilla. The roll wrapped in plastic wrap and refrigerated for at least 2 hours. This firmed up the cream cheese and made slicing easier. When ready to serve, the roll got sliced into 1-inch pinwheels, creating circles with spiral patterns visible. Each pinwheel was 2 or 3 bites, the cream cheese holding everything together. Some versions used different bases: ham and cream cheese with no vegetables, turkey and cranberry cream cheese for Thanksgiving parties, or Italian ingredients like salami, pepperoni, and Italian dressing mixed into the cream cheese. The vegetable versions could be made a day ahead and actually tasted better after sitting. The visual appeal was half the draw. Those spiral pinwheels arranged on a platter looked professional and intentional. They were cold, creamy, crunchy from the vegetables, and salty from the cheese and meat. No reheating required, no utensils needed, and they looked like you'd spent hours when really it was 15 minutes of assembly. This was the overachiever's potluck dish: impressive appearance, minimal effort. Potato salad. This is the side dish you'll find at every office picnic and summer party, and it's been a staple since company gatherings moved outdoors in the 1950s. Potato salad wasn't made to order. Someone's mom or the office admin made it in massive quantities the night before, stored it in industrial-sized containers, and transported it in coolers. The classic version started with russet or Yukon Gold potatoes, boiled until tender but not falling apart, then cooled completely before mixing. The potatoes had to be cold, or the mayo would separate and get oily. They were cubed into bite-sized pieces, skin on or off depending on who made it. The dressing was mayonnaise-based, always mayo, never Miracle Whip unless you wanted arguments. Yellow mustard added tang and that distinctive color. Sweet pickle relish contributed sweetness and crunch. Hard-boiled eggs diced and mixed in added richness and protein. Celery chopped fine provided crunch and freshness. Onions minced gave bite, white onions for sharpness, red onions for milder flavor. Everything mixed together with salt, black pepper, and sometimes a pinch of sugar to balance the tang. Some people added paprika for color. Others included diced dill pickles instead of relish. The salad had to sit overnight in the refrigerator, letting flavors meld, and the potatoes absorb the dressing. Each forkful was cool and creamy, the potatoes soft and mayonnaise-rich, with crunchy celery, sweet pickle bursts, and pieces of egg. The mustard gave it tang that cut through the mayo's richness. The potato-to-dressing ratio was crucial. Too much dressing, and it was soup. Too little, and it was dry. It was served cold in disposable aluminum trays or that one person's grandmother's bowl that always came to parties. People would heap it on their plates alongside burgers and hot dogs, the cool creaminess contrasting with grilled meat. This was the dish that caused office drama, whose potato salad was best, who brought store-bought and tried to hide the deli container, whose recipe had the secret ingredient everyone tried to identify. The arguments were real, the loyalties fierce, but everyone agreed that potato salad was mandatory for any outdoor office event.